Hello, friends. Oh, I was too close to the camera. Hello, friends. Welcome. We are here for Medical Billers Network Live. I think I didn't have my microphone next to me, so hello. I hope you guys are having a great start to the evening. Say hello when you get here. This is Medical Billers Network Live. We are here every Thursday, 6:30 p.m., talking all of the beautiful billing world magic. This week, we are getting into a fun conversation that we'll call it more kind of educationally driven. And so, my friends who have been in the billing world, whether you've been on the administrative side or as a team member, I think you'll find a lot of value in tonight's content. My name is Jasmine Feelies. If you are new here, welcome. So happy that you're here. Take the time to tell me that you're here by popping a comment in the comment box. We, with this channel of Inlera University, we educate folks on the business side of healthcare. Our focus is to help to eliminate the stress and confusion in the world of healthcare. So today we are, hi Iris, good to see you. Today we are talking about process and how to document process. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you guys. When you get here, say hello. Hi, Lachelle, great to see you. And I'm gonna queue up a quick little run through for us. So we chat about what we went over last week, but when you get here, answer the question of the day. Have you ever been involved in documenting process? Has it ever been something that you've had a responsibility for? Have you written a process yourself? I'm curious, let me know. Has it ever been something in your world? Hi, Mohammed, great to see you. Great to see you. Give me 1 second while I listen. We are doing some new fun technology stuff over in these parts. So that is why I'm going to be a little discombobulated. So bear with me, but I think we're going to make it happen. You guys. We're learning and growing together. Okay, here we go. It's there on the screen, except I am somehow in the way of, there we go. Okay. Get my big head out of the way. Okay. So as I said, this week we are talking about how to document process. Last week we had the trivia party. We had a first place and a second place winner, and they received their gift card. So don't forget, every first Thursday of the month is Trivia Thursday. So join us for the next Trivia Thursday. It'll be that first Thursday of March. I think it's like the 7th. I could be wrong, but check the calendar. First Thursday of March. And you can win a gift card. You can make some friends. You can learn some stuff. Or show off your talents if you're like an expert too. Last live stream that was more educationally focused, we'll say, was on the topic of the importance of process in the revenue cycle. And today we're continuing that conversation. So if you missed the last live stream, check the lives tab on our channel. I don't know how to say that. Yeah, somewhere on the YouTube channel, there's like a live stream tab that you can click on. All right. So hi, Punky. Hi, Iris. Let me see. So yes, Osama. Hi, Osama. Good to see you guys. Good evening, Medical Billing Maven. So happy to have you here. Not in healthcare yet, but yes, cool. I love it, Osama. We're going to learn together. I'm pretty sure if you've documented process ever in your career, you probably will find it a little bit more familiar. Iris says, currently trying to update processes, so need all the information that I can soak in. Yes to that. I'm excited. Joining me from LinkedIn. Hello. Hi, Punky. Paki, is it Paki? Nice to see you. Good evening. Okay. So give me 1 second, because now I'm like trying to figure out how this control works. There it is. All right. So my friends who have been around for a while already know that we have education. I've had a lot of questions come in, so we've decided to add in just a quick run through of what we do. So we are Medical Billers Network Live, but Inlera University, the owner, we'll say, of this channel, which is me. I'm Jasmine Feelies. I own the company, the founder of Inlera, and this Medical Billers Network Live is a group that we've gathered together to be able to support each other, right? So with Medical Billers Network Live, our desire is to create a space where billers like yourselves, or you're an aspiring biller trying to get into healthcare or interested in coding or other aspects of the healthcare industry that is on the business side of the healthcare industry, so not really patient facing directly, providing clinic patient care. We are doing like holding up the backbone. We're holding up the structure of the healthcare systems on this side of healthcare. If you're interested in getting into the area of healthcare, that is what we do. So we are a team of individuals that have lots of experience. I've got more than 2 decades. Those of you who've been here, even like surprises me still when I say that. It blows my mind. But those of you who are in the Facebook group know that I just celebrated my daughter's 18th birthday, and I birthed this company right around that time. So add a few more years to that, and that is how many years in healthcare I have. So quite a few. We'll just say quite a few. So a lot of us here have over a couple of decades of experience, medical billing, medical coding, and all things in between, some leadership experience, and myself, a lot of leadership experience in the clinic side, not much on the hospital side. So everything that we do here is more physician focused, but there are some individuals we partner with and that we work with that are hospital focused. So if you're interested in that area, happy to bring on experts to chat about it. So talking about our courses. So we have a couple of courses that are more for people who are just touching the surface. So if that is you, someone who is just starting into the world of billing and not quite sure what to do, where to go, the Medical Billing 101 course is going to be for you, because that course is really meant to help folks identify whether billing is really what you want to do. To be honest, if you have not had experience in the world of billing or really much experience in the business of healthcare at all, you need to first understand what you're getting yourself into. A lot of us get sold on the idea of the work from home or the freedom or the flex time, what have you. It sounds great, but if you get yourself into an industry and you hate it, you've wasted your time, your money, and your energy, and I don't want you to do any of that. So this course is meant to be very low cost, very minimal as far as time consumption or time investment goes. So check it out if you're like touching the surface. Language of billing is a prereq for a lot of our classes. It is also something that if you are a person who's learning the world of billing, you're going to want to, or even if you're in healthcare and trying to talk to your biller or understand, you're going to benefit from the language of billing because we speak our own language. Just like anybody in really an industry that's been around for a while, you start to, make your own little jargon. And we use a lot of jargon in the healthcare world. So it's really helpful to just be familiar with the terms to help you understand where we use them, how we use them, why we use them, those kinds of things. So there is a billing bundle, a billing starter bundle, and that is with the 2 courses together. So when you're there, check those out and let us know if you have any questions. You're going to email learn@inlera.com. That's learn@inlera.com. And let us know if you have questions. All right. The next course is the medical terminology for billing and coding, and that is a pairing with our medical coding 101 course, which is about to release here shortly. That course is medical terminology, what you would think as far as like what you would need to know, the scope that you would need to know if you're looking at say referencing patient documents. You're not necessarily trying to interpret and translate an entire document for the purposes of trying to really communicate to someone what the meaning is of like each of like a full narrative, we'll say, of a patient's case. But what you need to understand is enough to be able to be dangerous as a biller and a coder, right? So enough to be able to write an appeal letter, enough to be able to identify why the patient came into the clinic, those kinds of things. So it is very, very valuable information. I don't care where you are actually in healthcare. As a matter of fact, I just wrote an entire report and recommendation around a call center for a client, and their call center takes intake for patients and helps to select the right providers for their patients, matching for specialties. And so their call center folks need to know medical terminology. Super, super helpful. So I would really say like that medical terminology course is really helpful for people that are involved in any capacity in the revenue cycle. And my friends that are experienced or know what I'm talking about there, that's really anybody who touches the movement of the money through healthcare, right? So if you're a front desk person, or you're a referral coordinator, or you're the person who does reminder calls and takes patient questions when you're doing that, there's a chance that you're going to need to know medical terminology. So front office reception or medical office reception is our next course. It's still in pre-order, and it's totally my fault because I need to wrap up a couple of things with it, but it will be done here in the next week. So you guys will be able to get that one as well. And where are we? I think we've got like one more. Oh, okay. Mastering Medical Billing. So Mastering Medical Billing is our full flagship program. It is an instructor-led program. That program starts on March 27th. When we say instructor-led, it means that you are actually going to be walking alongside of an instructor. It is with some recorded material. It's with a lot of resources and material provided to help you study. And then there's also live learning and live labs and hands-on labs. So it's quite, it's more of an intense program, a full billing program, very robust. If you are interested in physician medical billing, this is absolutely the program for you, because we have crafted it based off of experience and seeing other programs that are just not doing it. So last thing I want to talk about, because this is a program that is coming up soon. I am leading this CPB readiness coaching program. My friends who are billers and want to get certified. If you are currently a biller, have experience, or have taken a course previously and still don't have your CPB, your certified professional billers certification from the AAPC, gracious, I couldn't say that, from the AAPC. This course is the course that you want to take. It will help you get started. It's going to, I love this. Pecan waving. Hey, MM. Oh, so cute. So this is the course for you. This course is made to teach you all that you need to know and to help you drill specifically for the test. So I want to make sure, if you are hearing about this course for the first time, if you want to become a biller and have no experience, this is not the course for you. You really need to make sure that you have a foundation in billing, because we won't spend a whole lot of time teaching the overall material. What will happen is we're going to drill into topics that you aren't super comfortable with. So if you are a biller, you've done some billing, but you maybe don't think that you have enough knowledge to sit for the test, because there's a lot of healthcare history. There are things that you would never really need to know as a biller that are on the exam as a day-to-day as a biller. And so it's important to drill for the test. And then, of course, the timeline associated. And there's a lot of things to take into consideration when we're sitting for a long test period. So this is exactly the course that you would need. Again, I don't recommend it for someone who has zero experience in the world of billing, because you'll be overwhelmed, because we're just going to fly through the information. And what we'll do is, when we get to questions that folks are challenged with, and again, this is heavily instructor led, when we get challenged with questions that you guys are not sure how or why there's a particular answer, that's when we will workshop together and make sure you understand the logic, the rationale, all of those things. So really important to understand, we are not teaching full medical billing with the CPB, but it is the course if you're a biller and or have taken a training program and really want your credentials. Cool. All right, we're done with all that stuff. Thank you guys so much who have asked questions about the programs. I want to make sure that you guys get what you need when you have questions. I want to make sure you get them answered. So if you are still feeling a little confused, I'm going to pop this up on the screen. You're going to email learn@inlera.com. That's the email address you want that to go to, learn@inlera.com, if you have any questions. You can also comment anywhere, wherever you're listening, watching this from. All right, my friends, I'm done. I'm done with that. Now we're going to talk about process. Thank you for hanging in there for my spiel. I'm going to stop my screen share for the moment. And let me back up. I'm like super all up in the screen. Why am I so close to the screen today? What is that? I feel very intensely close to the screen, but I do need to be close to see my notes, somewhat close. So give me a second. Let me set myself up here. Get me transition to my next thing. There we go. Okay. So process. Near and dear to my heart. I have told you guys before that I don't know exactly if it's my father's fault or not. He was military. But I have like an obsession with following protocol or process. Not just what I should say following, creating. Sometimes I don't like to follow, I'm going to be honest. But I do love establishing and fine-tuning and beautifying, perfecting process so that everyone can feel supported. Really, the number one reason why process is necessary is to make sure folks are supported on the job with what they're responsible for. Like, no one really wants to fail, right? We don't want to fail. When we try to do a job that we've taken on. We've given ourselves this new challenge. Our goal is to succeed, right? Let's just be real. So process or documented protocols that's there to support us. It's there to help us. It's there to be a tool. And so my leaders out there, folks who are being challenged with figuring out how to help people retain information or help them to feel supported, to make sure that they are following the right protocols and processes to be successful. This is the way to achieving that. You must support them with usable, and I say that with a very strong emphasis, usable process, because most of us have had experience where you get on the job and you're just like overloaded with all this information the first few days and your brain is like throbbing, right? You're just like, won't, at the end of every day, your head's spinning, brain's throbbing, and you're like, God, I really hope I wrote fast enough to catch all those notes. I really hope I got all that stuff down. Most of us find ourselves in that space where we're like overwhelmed, right? And to be frank, majority of us don't write fast enough. We don't have the ability to retain as much information that's being thrown at us in the first couple of days or a few days of our time on the job. And so it's pretty impossible for you to feel confident, for you to feel successful if they do not give you some sort of resource or tool to support you along the way. And there are, let's say, legacy places that have utilized tools like standard operating procedure manuals, SOP manuals, process manuals that someone will give you, and they'll be like, here, read this. And also here, take this other big old chunky document from HR as well, and have fun. Like, most people don't want to study a process manual. Most people are not going to study a process manual. What you need is something that will be usable. And so again, you're going to hear me say usable over and over and over, because that is the primary reason for this conversation that we're having today. Is majority of the healthcare systems and billing companies that I encounter don't know how to create usable processes. They just don't. And it's not that they don't want to, it's just that no one has ever really given them the guidance. So my hope is that you get this information and you duplicate it and you tell everybody about it and make sure they do this, because it's going to create more confident billers. And again, our end result here is to alleviate the stress and confusion. So hopefully that is what happens when you start to implement this. So if you're tracking along with me and syncing with what I'm saying, can you give me likes and tell me that you hear me? Because you guys are so quiet right now. Give me a like or a thumbs up or something and let me know you're hearing. So I love it. Let me see, Mohammed. Watching for Monday, tell about the credential process. Oh, I will totally talk about this. I just cannot talk about it today because it's going to take a little bit too much time. So hi, Larissa. Great to see you. But I will absolutely put that on the list so we chat about the credential process. And Mohammed, are you talking about specifically the, yay, thank you for the hugs, Hyatt Tribe, the CPB process? When you're talking about that, the CPB process, or credentialing for providers, just so I'm, put that in the right category, we'll say. So, sorry, guys. My daughter's on breakthrough. She doesn't know I'm live streaming right now. So she just broke through our live stream with her phone call. So sorry about that. All right. All right. I don't even know if you guys could even hear that, but just muted it. Okay. All right. So let's go back to process. So my friends, thank you so much for letting me know that you were here and that you're listening. And if you have questions throughout, I'm going to tell you our semi-new format of what we're trying to move towards is I'm going to do some breakdown of teaching and share some stuff. And then I want a Q&A with you guys. So I'm not going to look too much at the questions because I don't want to, I have a habit, I don't want to lose track. I have a habit of going off on tangents. My friends who have been around here for a little while know this about me. I'm a little guilty that I will shift the topic, and I want to keep everybody on track and moving together through the content first. And then we are happy to bounce around to all the questions and answer them and make sure that you get what you need. So, yeah, they're trying to keep me on track. And so I appreciate them for that. And I'm saying that everybody in the back space are behind the scenes, keeping me on track. So we need that. We all need that. All right. So Process. So when we're creating process, the very first thing that you need to think about is the concept of going as granularly as possible. So go granular. When I say that, I mean like instead of thinking of this meaty topic that you're like, I want to create this process, I want to create this whole process to document how I serve this client, right? That is so broad. If you're like, I'm a biller, I've got this one client and I'd like to hire someone to help me with payment posting, I'm going to create payment posting processes for them to do this work. Like that is way too broad because those of us who have been in billing for a while know every EOB is different. You might have paper EOBs that look different. Then you also have the concept of electronic EOBs or ERAs, right, that you need to process. Then you've got general documentation. So you've got all of these things, and potentially you might have more than one software. I don't know, right? You might have nuances that relate to specific clients only. And so now you've got basically all of these things that you just heard me list, and you're trying to cram it into one thing. So instead, think more specific, more granularly, like really break it down to the thinnest of the thinnest. And I'll give you an example here in a second, but I really want you to think about like what specifically, if I am an individual, you've got to put the logic on that. If I'm an individual and I just started this job, what would I be looking for? So put your brain on that says, I'm brand new. I don't know anything except for what my boss told me in the first 3 days of my job. This is day 4 by myself. What would I be looking for? How would I be looking for this information? So I'll give you an example related to new patients. So if I am trying to figure out how to enter in a new patient, say that very broad stroke, how to enter in a new patient. That might be what I'm searching. It might be what I'm searching, right? However, if we think about the real process of entering in a new patient into our software, that's going to involve the new patient's demographic information, their insurance information, potentially their guarantor information, the diagnosis information, if you have that already. You might be entering their detailed benefit information, right? So you've got all of these maybe 5 parts that all encompass how to enter or how to process a new patient in your software. So instead of going this how to enter a new patient where it's so broad, each micro step is its own process. Each micro step is its own process. Because if I'm new, I might even want to look for how do I enter insurance for a Blue Cross Blue Shield patient? Or how do I enter insurance for a Medicare patient? Because that might look different, right? It might look different in and again, it depends on a number of different scenarios. But if whatever minor nuances that change the circumstances where you find yourself creating all these exceptions, if you're like, oh, except when they are a Blue Cross patient, you're going to want to make sure that you have this diagnosis. Or when it's a Medicare patient, when you're entering diagnosis, you got to make sure you have this diagnosis, right? Like those are things that are exceptions to rules that might warrant the need for you to have a separate process. And of course, when we're talking about something like Medicare, or Blue Cross, it makes it somewhat simplified. If you know there's situations where you might be having to have a specific set of design or criteria, criteria for the structure for the ID, right? For the insurance ID, or for the group information, or for how you might choose to, like I mentioned earlier, the diagnosis information. There might be criteria that is consistent across all of the Medicare patients or across all of the Blue Cross Blue Shield patients. For example, your Blues, you're going to have a prefix. You're going to have alphanumeric, in a lot of cases, alphanumeric prefixes. And so it's important for you to know that this Blue Cross Blue Shield situation, circumstance always looks like this. You're always going to have a prefix. You're always going to have these characters preceding this length of an ID. That information is very important to separate out. All right. So instead of kind of titling your process how to enter a new patient, think of something a little bit more granular, right? So how to enter a new patient's demographic information um, for a child. I don't know. Yeah. So it's like you're entering address, you're entering their date of birth, all of this, but then you also need now their guarantor or their the policy holder as well, right? So you're also kind of adding in a little bit more meat so that if I am looking for this, what I'm going to get is something smaller. That is ultimately what we're aiming for, right? When we have a process that is a broad stroke process, it goes from being potentially 2 or 3 pages for a really, really granular process to one that's like 10 or 12 pages. No one wants to read, with a bunch of exceptions, no one wants to read a 10-page process, okay, being frank, and no one wants to read 25 exceptions. They're like, oh, and this is the one, but then if you see this, that, but then if you see that, this, like it's annoying and it's a little irritating. It makes it much cleaner for us to have something that is very specific and quite granular. Okay. So next is make it searchable. So our brains work this, you guys are on YouTube, a lot of you, right? And so our brains are working. You probably got here because you were asking a question to Inlera University. At some point, you got here because you were asking YouTube a question. And our brains are wired to ask questions or to ponder things in a question format, right? So like I said, I could have titled the example that I gave before, entering new patient demographic info, like, very, I don't know, robotic and separate. But most people are not searching enter new patient demographic. Like they're not searching in bits and pieces and like robot language, right? They are searching for how to enter a new patient, how to enter demographic information for a new patient, right? They are asking questions in searching for things in question format. So it's very important that you recognize the way that the brain works, the way that your brain works. This is how you got here. This is how you got here to Inlera University, right? So think about how you are looking for information. So you're titling your process off, or the way that you've documented your process, you're titling it according to the way the person would be searching for it. It's going to make it searchable, which means when we'll talk about this, when I talk about apps for process, we're not going to talk about apps today because I want to show you guys apps, and that's going to be a lot of screen share and a lot of other stuff. But basically, I'm going to use the example of Google. I think I've used it before. If you're using something like a Google Drive, you can put it into your search box, and you can put even a portion of that, and it's going to pop up what you're looking for. Okay, I'm looking for how to enter in my new patient. And if I'm entering that into my search box, it's going to pull that document up as on a list along with ones that might be similar. Maybe it wasn't the exact one you were looking for, but there's one beneath it that was the perfect process that you're looking for. You need to make sure that it is searchable. And so asking that question in a searchable way is going to get you and including in the title. Google Drive is amazing for this, you guys. I love Google Drive so much because it actually not just makes the title searchable, but it makes every piece of content in the document searchable. So if there's something that is similar that you have, like the title, for example, the question written out in the title form, or like a variation of that question in the top, near the top of the document, it's going to pull it up. So searchability is very, very important when it comes to establishing a process. You want someone to be able to find it. People don't want to be flipping through pages on their desk and trying to come up with their own system. Put it into an intranet or a shared drive or something like that where someone can search for it by just plugging in some information and it'll spit back what they need. Okay. All right, so we now have our title. We've said, okay, our file is called this. We're putting it here, and we'll talk about possible locations for that. As I mentioned, Google Drive is a great place for it. If you have the business one, it gives you a lot more sharing capabilities. Plus, it's HIPAA compliant. If you're using it for patient information, they will execute a BAA with you. And so try out the business one. It's not expensive. Okay, once you have your title, you have your searchability, everything is there. Before you go down the path of just like powering through and typing, this is what I want my process to look like. Here's all the things. Here's all the things. We all think in more complex language than what someone really wants to read. Okay. And so you have to recognize that less is more. Being more clear about what you want them to do. So instead of saying, when the screen opens up and you've got this window there, and then you see this option, that's when you click this button. Like when you could have just very simply said, click search button. I don't know I couldn't think of a click the X. like literally just put click, big X, bolded, and then I'll talk about it later, visual support, but less is more. Don't narrate it. Do not narrate it. No one really cares to have sentences. If you're not in college and you don't have to read sentences, why? Why? If you don't like to read, you're not reading a book leisurely at work, then don't make somebody feel like they've got to read a book. Like give them a very clear-cut action step. Very clear-cut action step. So click X, click submit. Like don't narrate it in the way that you would if you were talking to someone in a dialogue, right? Sometimes when we dialogue with someone, we'll kind of put a lot of extra words and we'll make it a little bit more meaty. Cool. When you are working through a process, a written process, today I should have preface this at the beginning. Today, we are talking only written process. So I did talk to you guys last time about my favorite form, which is video, as you see, but video and recording stuff. We're not going to talk about video at all today. This is all written process. I believe a mix of all things is important because we are all different types of learners, and it's helpful to have a quick searchable written process instead of me pulling up a video. So I apologize for not explaining why I'm not talking about video today. But yes, written process is still necessary. I don't care where you are. And I always say in writing, it doesn't have to be on paper, physical paper, but it should be documented somewhere in writing. So yes, less is more. Do not narrate. Don't go on a diatribe with each little step. Very clear, very concise. And then the next point is visual support. If I said click X, there should literally be a screenshot of the window where the button is that shows the X. And ideally you have it highlighted, circled, something like that. Okay. So important to use visuals. No one wants to read one of those processes that is just like all text and text heavy. Again, even if it's bulleted text all the way through, it gets draining, it gets droning, right? You need to have some kind of visual support for the brain. The brain needs it. The brain likes a shift. It likes to change and move from like, okay, I'm hearing it. Okay, I'm seeing it. Okay, I'm doing it, right? It needs to feel those different shifts, right? So visual support. And so that leads me to really the last like official point related to process. And then I'm going to talk about when's the right time to document process. And we're going to pull up just a brief SOP for you to look at it today. Consider things like flowcharts and process flows. And so what's the difference between flowchart and a process flow? So a flowchart is very much a chart that defines you saying, I'm going to go this way or that way. So like, for example, if I'm getting to a corner, what is this? Fork in the road. I've got to now make a choice. I'm going to go this way or I'm going to go that way. A flowchart is exactly that. So I'm saying, okay, it's like thinking of a road and a road map. It's like a map for steps. So it's like, okay, patient comes in. The question is right at the top here. The decision is this a new patient or a repeating patient? It's a new patient. If it's a new patient, yes, go this way. Repeating patient, go that way. It totally now separates the process. And now you've got a separate logic to define here first. And then you have a question that's going to be asked to then again help break it down a little bit more. So I'll show another example of a flow chart when we go over a little bit more of examples in our next couple of sessions. But today I'm going to show you a written process, a step-by-step of an SOP with some of the examples of visuals and less is more and all of that. Flowcharts are great because it helps people basically, you start to really interpret or embody, I should say, the logic. So when they see it written out in that question format and they're making decisions and following the next steps, that is exactly what the brain needs to do, right? So you're basically giving them the brain and saying, here, this is the logic, and here's the next step, and here's the questions you should ask. Eventually, that will go away and they won't need to utilize the flow chart, but it's a really beautiful representation for people to understand things like we've just discussed, like what's this patient's, is this a patient, a Blue Cross patient? Yes, no. If they're not, here's what we could do. Is it insurance? This is a better scenario. Is this an insurance patient or a self-pay patient? Yes, it's an insurance patient. You're going this direction. Self-pay, totally opposite scenario of a patient setup in a case and all the things, right? So it's very helpful to like separate the information for individuals that are brand new. And again, you're teaching them the logic that you want them to follow in months and years to come. Okay. So those are our steps. So go granular, make it searchable, less is more, use visual support, and then consider other types of written process. So flowcharts, I'm sorry, I didn't go over process flow. Process flow, you guys, my friends who've been here when I've talked about the revenue cycle and I brought up my chart and I'm just kind of like moving you through a cycle, an entire one direction cycle. That's a process flow, right? So it's like patient comes in, patient goes back with the doctor, patient goes to the checkout center, to the checkout desk, patient then goes to their home, office calls them, whatever, nurse provides results on it. I'm just trying to think of like basically a flow of a patient's experience is what I'm outlining in a bad way. But basically that's the flow. That's an example of flow. It's like a one direction. You're just outlining what it looks like by just steps and saying this is one directional flow. It's not like a flow chart where you're going to be needing to kind of break off based on specific criteria or decisions that are made. So they are different, but it's important to understand that they're both very useful, especially when, again, you're trying to give someone new an understanding of the way something works. Okay. All right. So when is the right time to document process? I love this question because so many people say, you know what? I'm going to pause during the Christmas break or like holiday break. These managers in high level positions that are like, and then I'm going to spend all this time and I'm going to write all these processes and it's going to be so great and everyone's going to have what they need. Like, and then holidays come and go. Summer break, spring break comes and go, like when they think they're going to have all this time, right? The bottom line is that do not wait till you have a bunch of time to get something done. You're not going to get that much time. As much as you might think you're going to get that much time, you won't. You just won't. None of us do. We all think we will. It never happens. What you need is to just sit down and do it. And when you're choosing to document the process, don't make it a big to-do. I would sit down and decide what has the greatest impact on your business. So if for my example earlier about you bringing on someone to help with payment posting, if you're about to onboard a new team member with payment posting, that jumps the list. You have a need. You need to have an individual assist with payment posting. This individual obviously is going to need training. So you want to sit down and document the process, make it easier for yourself, make it possible that you can replicate it if you need to bring a second team member on for that same function or to help you in that same area, or a backup team member or a replacement, God forbid, of that team member, right? So it's very helpful to sit down and think about what is the priority for you right now. What would be the most helpful, and the answer to the question of when to do it right now. Don't wait, do it right now. And do it as you are moving through the process yourself. And if it's not you and it's someone on your team, you got to change the culture. Got to change the culture around the expectation with processes and procedures. Okay. Everyone has to be a part of the process of keeping things updated. So when you choose to create or document a process and you release it, you need to make sure along with that release, especially if it's your first time creating a formal process, you need to tell your team, this is a process. If this process changes, my expectation is that you will tell me so that we can update this process. If it's not reported to me, then you have violated X policy of your commitment to this process, to maintain this process. And I first would say, obviously, establish a process commitment. And then think about change recommendations. So, like, if you know you want the team to send you a request to make an update to a process, what does that look like? How do they need to send that to you, right? Or do you want them to just be the ones to be a part of updating the process? And I prefer that method. I prefer that you enable the team member to empower them, to be able to learn the process that they are following day to day. They probably have it more perfected than what you created it originally. They might have even amplified it and made it better. So what I would suggest is you teach them how to document process. And I'm going to talk about quickly a couple of apps that will help you do that, a couple of ways that will help you do that today. But start to think about the ways that you can engage the team and they can be a part of the process creation, because that is the only way for an organization to long-term succeed. And it all of a sudden jumps the list of like priority. Now the team is all of a sudden like they like process because they were a part of creating it. So they're like, oh, this is great. I love these things because I did part of it. Like, they've invested time and energy in creating it. It helps them feel ownership of this whole process creation. And it's going to help them to feel more deeply connected to the overall structure of the business, which helps people feel more invested. So very, very important that you make it a thing, make it a big to do. Hey, y'all, like, we are going deep into wanting to help you feel more supported. My business coaching group, and there's a book, oh my gosh, the original book that I read by my business coaching group that I'm a part of, that I adore, the Maui Mastermind, that group, oh my gosh, I'm so going to remember the name of this and I'll share it next time. It was the very first book that I read by him, David Finkel, the owner of the coaching group. He wrote this book, geez, it's blanking my mind now, it's torturing me, Scale. It's called Scale by David Finkel. David Finkel wrote this book, and he had a whole section devoted to this concept of, and it's kind of morbid, I will tell you this, it's called the hit by the bus plan. And so it's like, if for some reason you or someone on your team, God forbid, was out for a long period of time, they're not deathly ill. They're not on the deathbed, thank goodness. But maybe they were hit by a bus and they've got a broken leg or two broken legs and they can't make it into the office, right? They're gone for a few weeks, God forbid. Like, who would be able to do, how would someone be able to do their job? That is how your company should function. A business without a structure is not a business, all right? You got to have a structure. And so the concept is that you get everyone's buy-in to understand that this whole process is there for you, because when you come back from your, God forbid, whatever's happened to you, you don't really want to come back to either not having a job because now someone else had to learn your job and they don't really need you anymore because it took so long to get someone trained that now they're like done, right? Or you don't want to come back to a mountain of stuff, mountain of mess. So it is very, very helpful for everyone. If you want to take a trip for 2 weeks or a month or whatever, and you're gone, like, that you can trust that some things at least are going to be getting done, that someone knows how to do things properly. You're not going to come back to a mess that you're cleaning up for weeks and weeks to come. All right. So it's not going to be a perfect thing when you're gone for a big chunk of time, but it will definitely be better than zero. process being documented and you coming back to a mountain. So the hit by the bus initiative is what we called it in my business when we first documented it. Very morbid, I know. But let me tell you this, it was shocking enough that we actually did something, because we were all kind of excited about, we read the book together when we first embarked upon kind of this initiative. And it's been a bunch of years now when I first read that book. And then I joined their coaching program a few years later, actually. But I will say this, that it helps people to feel more invested, helps people to feel more a part of the entire business structure and part of the entire role that they have embodied. And again, most of the team members that you've had or will have might know the job way better than you know it. So you trying to create a process for them, probably not the best way to go. So how do you do this easily? So we're going to look at apps. Next time we're talking about recording, we're talking about video and audio as a way to create process specifically. And I'm going to talk about kind of how to do that and all of that. But 2 weeks so the following week, we're talking about apps in process building. I'm going to go over a few apps and like walk you through how to use them. And then we'll look at the structure of a Google Drive that I would recommend for process establishment and so on. But when you are trying to get someone to help document the process, make it simple. First thing I would recommend is record using whatever you're used to recording on. So if you're in the same office with them, still ask them to record, right? So like, let's say you're physically in the same office, but you want to record something, use Zoom, let them do a screen share and record it, and use a transcription app when you're talking about we're talking about written process, right? Use a transcription app that can help you. So one of those apps is called Fathom that I like, that attaches to Zoom. It seems to get things really, really more accurately than some of the other tools out there. And it will also catch and notice breaks and pauses and things really, really well. So Fathom is an app that I absolutely would suggest if you are using Zoom already. It probably connects with other stuff, but Fathom, if you guys can pop that into the comments. I have something covered. I haven't looked at the comments at all so that I'm not distracted. You guys would be proud of me. Oopsie. Did I close it out? Okay. I was like, I don't know if that worked. All right. So what I was going to say is that it does a really beautiful job at following you around and creating a process as you do what you're doing. So it's very, very helpful. Hey, want to be natural? Great to see you. It's very, very helpful for people who are not seasoned at creating SOPs, because a lot of folks that are not seasoned at creating procedures or processes, again, they choose a lot of text. They choose to include a lot of words, and we want simplified language. So it helps to alleviate some of that. Now, obviously, what you're going to want to do is augment to anything that you need to add in. If there's any specific nuances, you can do that. But something like a scribe as a baseline tool can help you. So I hope that was helpful. Can you guys let me know if you found that helpful? I'm very curious. I'm looking at questions now. See what we got in here. It was a little longer today. Let's see. Here we are. Hi. Okay. I got a diploma in medical billing and coding, but I haven't been successful in getting a job with it. Let me think about this. First of all, I'm sorry that you haven't been successful. I have follow-up questions for you about what you've been trying, because there are a lot of positions out there. And my question really is, how much experience do you have in healthcare? And have you been trying to go from 0 to 60 to getting like a billing position directly in an organization? Because a lot of what we look for these days is for folks to have some baseline knowledge or experience on the job in healthcare. And that might come by taking a position that maybe is not exactly a biller, but you can tell the organization, like, my ultimate goal is to become a medical biller and coder, but here's what I am willing to start with, right? So I hope, May, let me see. I want to know if you're answering my follow-up questions. You might not be on still. If you get a second later on in the comments and you see this live again, let me know a little bit more about what your experience is. So comment below in the YouTube video recording when you get a chance. I'm curious what you've done. And I have a couple of videos where we've talked about ways to stand out, have your resume stand out, to have you as an individual stand out. But I want to help you. So please let me know and tell me some comments about what you've tried, and I'll try to give you different things. I want to give you what you've already heard a million times. But I will suggest that if you are trying to go from zero experience or something completely unrelated, and you've been on a lot of interviews, like start or already tried a lot of different things, but you keep getting shut down because of the experience factor, then try doing something different. There's a lot of positions out there, like I see them all the time. Actually, I should start sharing them heavily into the group. But in the area of insurance verification or patient services team members, those are all revenue cycle folks, right? They're still involved in the revenue cycle, not exactly medical billing, but again, you get your foot in the door in an organization, then you now have a leg up, because most large organizations hire from within first before they publish the jobs. Okay. Horrible with tangents. Girl, yes, me too. As you guys know, I just like to talk more detailed. We'll just say that. We'll call it a compliment, but I definitely take it down the rabbit hole. So credential only. So Hamid, tell me credentialing, meaning like the CPB, the Certified Professional Biller, if that's what we're talking about. Just put in there for me CPB, just so I know for sure, because you say credential only still kind of lands me in the same question. Are we talking about provider credentialing or something else? So would you create a process per insurance company along with the demographic and the things you need per pair? So would you create a process per that insurance company along with the demographic and the things you need per that pair? Yes, I would say yes. If there are more than 2 exceptions that you're adding into a process, you need a separate process. If you find yourself creating a lot of, except in this situation, do that, except in that situation, do this, less exceptions, and just create a separate process. I hope that answers the question, a tribe. Thank you for the question. Okay, medical billing maven. So if everyone is updating process, and is it confusing? Yes. So the concept of that change management request is what I mentioned. So you give certain people ownership over it that you trust, or you give them full ability to update. When I say update, you give them the ability to submit something for updates, and then it goes to whomever the supervisor is to review. So for example, if there is you have a whole team of account managers, I think you have a billing company, right? Medical Billing Maven. If you've got a whole team of account managers, for example, and you trust 3 of the 10 of those account managers to be a part of updating processes based on their experience, let's just say, or longevity with the company or what have you, you still want them to submit that for kind of an ultimate seal of approval. And what you'll do is take it out, put the new one in, take the old one out, and put the new one in. So I hope that answers the question. But yeah, the process change, let's see, what is the change process? Not, yeah, that's exactly, yeah. If it's not effective, you don't want to replace it. If it is, and it's better, replace it. If you want them to, like, if you want to blend something together with the old one, maybe they skipped a step or something like that, then certainly, have them redo it. I loved helping people be a part of that redoing, though, like have them learn again how to document process, because it's only going to be an asset if you trust them that they're capable, right? They're only going to be an asset as your company grows, right? Yes, you are perfecting the process. That is right. Yes. Okay. What is the best school to go to for healthcare in Georgia? Want to be natural? That is such a hard question. I don't really know. When you say healthcare, you mean like for healthcare billing or like healthcare clinical side? We're talking like business and healthcare or clinical. Yeah. And then is that because you want to go somewhere in person? Tell me a little bit more. I got good questions for you for that. Oh no, did the screen go black? I'm sorry. Was that me? Was it black? Did I go black? No? Okay, cool. Let's see. No experience. Oh, May's here. Cool. No experience. Every job I applied for was looking for 3 years or more. Happens. It does happen. This is where I would say go into, you're going to look at a couple of different things. I want you to go, first of all, look at my YouTube video, and I'm going to make a note to put it in the description box for us to find it, because I can't remember the name of it, but we have a video where I talked a lot about like other creative ways to find positions. But and I would love to do another one. I feel like there's always an opportunity for that. But you're going to go into a direct outreach to an organization, go directly to the HR outreach people. If you've seen a lot of different ads for a particular organization, maybe you're trying to work somewhere locally to you, go directly to that company site and see if they have an HR list of all of the open jobs that are available. Some of them still route you directly to whatever system you found them on, but try to go to the source. Try to find a position that has the least level of experience required that you can go interview for and put yourself in front of people. Your goal is to get in front of someone. So if it's an entry-level position and it doesn't exactly match what you want, go be awesome, be incredible, and let them know. Plant the seed. Listen, I am so passionate about this area, but I'm willing to get my foot in the door and start where I need to start so I can gain the experience, but I'm going to do a phenomenal job wherever you put me. And so hire me is basically what I'm going to, and this is my short and sweet answer of that, but you got to be willing to sell yourself. And, I am always like, I love Tony Robbins, and he always says like, how many times, how many things, like, so he asks you more and more questions. So like every job you applied for, is that like 3 jobs? Is that 10 jobs? Is that 100 jobs? Apply for more. Just continue to apply for more until you get to the highest number that you thought you could ever apply for. And just continue applying. Even if they ask for a ton of experience, try to make yourself relevant. And I did talk about how to do that with resumes and standing out and stuff. So, ooh, I love this. What's credentialing? We just, we're going to start talking about credentialing in a separate series of videos. So stay tuned. I'm not going to talk about the credentialing process today, but credentialing is a vital part of healthcare. Basically, Want to Be Natural that gets the providers enrolled first with the health centers or the healthcare organizations themselves. So they have to be credentialed, meaning verifying credentials, making sure that they're legitimately providers, not been, removed from any states and things like that, that they are licensed and okay to treat patients. That's the first part of credentialing. The next part is, we call credentialing, is actually really called provider enrollment, which means they're getting enrolled with insurance companies. So I'll talk more about that later, but yay. Glad you found it helpful, Iris. Yay. Let's see. Yes. Okay, good. Yes. Do more, May. And then I'm going to link the video for you. I'll make sure that Nicole, if you can make a note so we get that video linked for May. Yes, I did it. That's what I was thinking. I would like to, let's see. Yes, I did it. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I love it. It's like, I would be nervous if everyone changing things. Yes. Cool. Yeah. And that's exactly what I would suggest. Just get people comfortable with it, medical billing waivers, get them comfortable with helping to create process. And then eventually, you might decide there's only like a couple of people that you really like the way that they kind of understand the value and importance of it. Or you might find that your whole team picks it up and you're just like, keeping up with process is easy. So online management. Oh, okay. Want to Be Natural, study with us. But tell me what you're interested in learning. So, because we earlier in the video today, if you like rewind, I talked a little bit about the programs that we have already. But I'm happy to answer questions. So ask me any questions you have, and I will make sure we get responses back. Tyra, a lot of times you can start as a yes, medical billing, any of the front end of the revenue cycle. So medical billing, medical receptionist. And if you don't have a lot of experience and you're interested in that area, you can totally take the training. Having additional trainings under your belt to put on your resume is like jump the list, goes under your name, all that. But the medical receptionist position, the referral coordinators, the insurance verification, or what do they call them? Insurance specialists. All of those roles are typically entry-level roles because they're fairly easy to train. So absolutely worth it. Is getting it worth it? I love it. I really don't see jobs asking for it. Okay. it is worth it if you intend to work for an organization that is going to recognize your credentials, first of all, and if you're trying to jump the list, like for May, for example, if you went through a program that doesn't have credentials, there are some organizations that do require certifications, whether it's a coding or a billing certification, revenue cycle management certification. If you're trying to get into an organization that has upward mobility, meaning like you can be given promotions, you're going to want to have certifications under your belt, because that might be the thing that is going to decide whether you get hired or the other person that's in the team gets hired. Hope that answered the question, Michelle. Okay. For the process of, sorry, my mouse. Okay. For the process, or the question for the process per payer, has everyone added hyperlinks to choose which to get to at which particular point? And if so, what tool do you use? I have to read this again. I'm sorry, Iris. Let me read it again. For the question process per payer, has everyone added hyperlinks to choose which to get to you at which particular point? If so, what tool do you use? I don't know if I'm following. Darn it. I'm sorry, Iris. You might have to reword that question. I'm sorry. It's probably because you're like dialoguing it and my brain is not catching up just yet. So let's see. I've interviewed, I'm sorry, May, I'm catching up on your messages. I'm interviewing for physicians, but no one's willing to give that opportunity. Okay. I've looked for videos. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. Look for them and ask me whatever other questions that I can answer after you've listened to some of the other videos too. I would love to talk more about it. We did talk at some point about like doing like mock interview type scenarios. So we should do that as well. So credentialing a whole lot. It is a whole lot. Most people don't like credentialing. Total honest thing from a tribe right there. So maybe that one step that someone does, no one else does or knows how to do. So if you don't share it, yeah, that's exactly true. Yep, indeed. You got to share it. So listen, I have kept my team on here for too long because I was fumbling with all my things going on too. So it's almost 8:00 here, and everyone's got to have a nice evening. So I'm going to, I love that you guys, hyperlinks to make the process. What was the hyperlinks thing? I'm trying to wrap what I'm talking about. What? I don't know. Hyperlinks will make the process too complex. I don't remember the hyperlinks in the process itself. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's look at another example. Let's look at another example next time, and then let's talk more about the whole process, the hyperlinking thing, because I actually really enjoy utilizing cross-directional links to different processes. So like, how I talked about the exceptions, like if you have this insurance, make sure you look at that process, those kinds of things, or point people into other hyperlinks. But we use Google Drive, and everything is a link though, so it's a little different than if you were using something else. So, but then also, yes, you updating the links is a pain. You do want to just make sure that you have like a resource that also shares the information, like the detail of what website they're going to, because if the hyperlink doesn't work anymore because the insurance company changed their website around or whatever, then you could have some issues and people fumbling around and stuff. So I would also mention or reference at the top a nice introduction to what the process is outlining and website and all that. So I hope that helps. All right, my friends, listen, thank you so much for being here. This is Medical Billers Network Live. This channel is for you. If you are interested in being a biller or know someone that is a biller and you're just curious about what they do, you are a biller and trying to get more connected to folks, we have a Facebook group. We want you guys to join so that you can know each other and get to know other billers and like network. I have a secret plan that I'm going to tell you guys right now. Those of you who have stuck through here get the little nudge of information, just the little perk for sticking around. I want us to start having monthly meetups and networking sessions together. I want us to start knowing each other. And just like May's situation, perhaps some of you guys are in an organization or you run a billing company yourself or a billing department, and you have a perfect opportunity for someone like May after you've gotten to know her and know that she's capable, interested, and engaged. She might be the person for you. So that is exactly what I want us to do. So my friends, if you're in here and you have not joined the Facebook group yet, join it, because that is going to be the place where I share that information first. That is where it's actually going to remain. Any of those meetup groups, we're not going to live stream them because that would be awkward. They will be Zooms. They will be actual interactive where we will be on together. So yeah, I'm excited about that because I want you guys to know each other and all that stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much for staying on, and take care, my friends. Bye, y'all.